Welcome to week 27. A trending topic when it comes to training for performance for women is whether or not you should adapt your training to your menstrual cycle. More and more studies are being made, even though they are not the easiest to implement. So today I thought I could do a little summary on the physiological aspects and what current science says. But first, some updates on the overstrained shoulders and the worldwide ranking. I have taken the entire week off my training program, but that doesn't mean I haven't been hitting the gym. And I've actually had some really nice sessions, not least mentally. For instance, I did a really nice 40-minute EMOM from Matt Fraser's program Hard Work Pays Off, with 11 calories row, 8 dual dumbbell box stepovers, 9 calories echo bike, and 60 double unders. I did a long distance running session in the woods and some snatch technique work, but I've also put extra time on mobility. The pain is now entirely gone, and I did manage to do a quarterfinal workout this week as well. I did one of my favorites, test 1 from 2022, with 50 walking lunges, 30 handstand push-ups, 40 front rack walking lunges, 20 deficit handstand push-ups, 30 overhead walking lunges, and 10 strict handstand push-ups, with a 15-minute time cap, a real shoulder burn. This time I actually managed to finish the workout, even if there was only 6 seconds left. Those deficit handstand push-ups are no joke. And I was greedy as always with the last strict handstand push-ups. My new score on this workout results in an updated worldwide ranking of 3035th. Getting closer and closer to that sub 3000. And now on to this week's topic. The menstrual cycle and its impact on training and performance are of growing interest. And the female sex hormones, estrogen and progesterone, are definitely involved in performance and anabolic processes in the body, but also in appetite, fat storage, and blood sugar regulations. Let's start with some basics. The menstrual cycle has 2 phases, the follicular and the luteal phase. The follicular phase starts at the same time as the bleeding. During this phase, the levels of progesterone are low. The levels of estrogen, however, starts low but steady increases and reaches the peak after 12 to 14 days, at the same time as ovulation starts. After ovulation, the estrogen levels drop and the levels of progesterone increases. This is called the luteal phase and extends over the last 2 weeks of the 28 days long menstrual cycle. Intensified strength training during the follicular phase has been proposed to improve muscle strength more than the same frequency of training during the luteal phase, due to the high levels of estrogen. Estrogen is a steroid hormone and both increases muscle build and reduces muscle breakdown. High levels of estrogen also has an anti-inflammatory effect, which could help to recover easier from higher volume of training. Estrogen is considered to be a hormone that increases well-being. It's connected to improved stress management and better memory functions. So, right before ovulation is also when females exhibit peak mental form. Simultaneously to this, a release of testosterone occurs, which also could affect one's motivation and drive to train harder or intensely. In addition to this, estrogen improves insulin sensitivity and suppresses gluconeogenesis, which indicates that you could need to consume more fast-absorbing carbohydrates during your training during this phase, especially if you have a longer conditioning piece. Menstrual-related pain, or primary dysmenorrhea, is reported to affect most female athletes and often leads to absence from planned training. Furthermore, premenstrual symptoms, PMS, are experienced by most fertile-aged women and can be characterized by both physical symptoms like bloating, breast tenderness and headache, and psychological symptoms like depression, irritability, and fatigue. PMS symptoms normally occur from the mid-luteal phase to the first days of menstrual bleeding. These symptoms have been reported to negatively influence athletic performance and well-being in female athletes. And the symptoms are attributed to progesterone. Progesterone also stimulates fat storage and overeating, And the high levels of progesterone during the luteal phase also results in a less anabolic response from training stimulus. Many of these studies on the menstrual cycle's impact on training and performance show contradictory results. And it can be really hard to identify the different phases on an individual level, even if blood work is being made. In addition to this, many women use contraceptives, which also has an effect on training results and performance. One study suggests that the short-term fluctuations in ovarian hormones probably doesn't even have a noticeable influence, whether on exercise performance or the long-term adaptation to resistance training. And even if there are all of these physiological mechanisms to consider, you can't decide when in your cycle you're going to compete. And it can be very mentally challenging to do an important competition when you assume that you should feel and perform your worst. So my opinion is that you shouldn't adapt your training to your menstrual cycle. But of course you can adapt single sessions if you feel very affected. Remember to consume extra carbohydrates around ovulation and try not to skip sessions. Rather adapt intensity or weights. Exercise can actually help ease cramps. Remember that consistency is key to all worthwhile things in life, not least when it comes to training. See you next week.